Hello and welcome to another episode of the Six and Out podcast brought to you by Sports News Blitz. I'm Bilal, joined by Dejan, and this is the show where we talk everything cricket. Well, Dejan, I hope you're enjoying yourself in this heat. Perfect weather for cricket, or maybe a little too perfect. I mean, first of all, how have you been?
It's perfect weather for cricket. It's not perfect weather for recording an episode. It's
Oh, definitely not.
just been
But we're here.
sweating, just been sweating the last few days. I haven't even done anything, but yeah, but it's good to get some summer in England finally.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that sun's obviously translated to the cricket in England, obviously, not just the men's test, but the women's T20 World Cup. So it's good all round, obviously, playing cricket in England, but not good for England, as we'll get onto later. But ahead of the second test, we did hear the news. We did speculate it in the previous episode that Kane Williamson did end up announcing his retirement from all formats, which for me does come to a bit of a shock. But I mean, Dejan, this is one of the greats in terms of the batsmen in the modern era. I mean, it's sad, essentially, isn't it? Seeing one of the best go out.
Yeah, I urge every single viewer not to watch the last episode because I said that it was Williamson shouldn't even be thinking about retiring. He's still too good a player, and then about a couple of hours later, after that video went up, he retired. So kind of bad luck, but yeah, what a player! What a player! What a player he's been! What a what an ambassador for the game! What a great person as well! I just think he's such a model cricketer that everyone should be, all like cricket lovers and stuff should definitely aspire to be more like.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. I mean, Mr. Cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like he's always been so unlucky, especially in white ball tournaments as well. He did end up winning the 2021 World Test Championship against India.
yeah,
I think that was the first one as well. I mean, not to remind you, but I feel like he's just been that pillar for New Zealand like since the 2010s, and in a way, it's almost that era, like so Brendan McCullum, Ross Taylor, and even likes of Tom Latham as well as in white ball, and now Kane Williamson. It almost just feels like the end of the era, end of an era in terms of New Zealand batting. And
yeah.
I mean, just on Kane Williamson, any sort of standout memories over the years that like stand out to you? Any particular knocks or any innings that stand out to you?
Well, I just think the way he led that side in the 2019 World Cup in England, very terribly unlucky not to win that tournament. It's just felt like everything was going against him that day. But yeah, the way he performed in that tournament, that innings against South Africa when backs were against the wall, the team, if they'd have lost that game, I think he scored 100 against West Indies as well. Where if they'd have lost that game, then
Yeah,
New Zealand would have been out in the group. But he scored 100 against both of them. But that South Africa one particularly in overcast conditions, it was quite dark as well, and the way he played against a very good bowling lineup, carrying that squad, that team to victory. Yeah, superb. But I think just the way he captained as well in that tournament, it was just it was just flawless up until the last, I think, 20 minutes of that World Cup final when everything just somehow went wrong. But yeah, it was just the way he's captained that New Zealand side, the way he's led that side for so long, and he's led from the front with the bat as well. So all round, just an excellent cricketer, and yeah, a modern day great.
yeah. Another innings that just stands out to me: the 2015 World Cup, New Zealand Australia in the group stage, where
Yeah, that
it was
final
like
six. Yeah,
yeah, the last wicket as well. And then
yeah,
Kane Williamson was there right till the end. I think was it Mitchell Johnson was bowling absolute heat. Mitchell Stark as well. It was yeah, and then for him like to have that moment as well, and even that semi final in that same year against South Africa. I mean, I don't know. I just feel I know as an England fan, like I'm glad we won 2019, but you just feel New Zealand should have won at least one World
yeah.
Cup
They've
in
been
that era.
they've been terribly unlucky with
Yeah,
just everything when it comes, especially in the finals of those tournaments, and even the semi final of the 23 World Cup against us, India.
mm,
They still performed very excellently in that tournament. They just came up against a very good side.
yeah.
But I think they could have beaten. They could have definitely won that tournament with how some of their team was performing.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, yeah, particularly his ODI and Test record, it's like above none. Like that's why he's talked about as like part of the Fab Four alongside likes of
Yeah.
Coley, Smith, Root, and others as well. So yeah, definitely one of the greats. And I mean, I guess for New Zealand, life continues on post Williamson, which will be strange to see from a New Zealand perspective because you feel like Williamson was always nailed on in that Test team in particular.
Yeah.
But just moving on to that second Test, then the first match without Williamson,
But they made a pretty good start without
yeah,
him.
and it feels like they didn't miss him at all. Comfortably beating England in London in particular, and it was an over 200 run victory.
253.
Dominance from start to finish. 253 runs it was. Yeah, so at the Oval, just
Yeah, it was
253 runs.
dominant.
Dominance.
Yeah, complete dominance. I think, especially with the fact that one thing about Williamson, he doesn't have a great record in England, so maybe that might have actually helped him. But I just think the way they performed, and obviously England had some mitigating circumstances with the likes of some key players missing. But I just thought the way New Zealand held their cool, the way they built key partnerships. Look at the fourth innings. Look at the third innings with Nichols and Ravindra. I think the way Matt Henry bowled was a massive plus, especially after he didn't really bowl much in the first test because of injury. Yeah, I just all around New Zealand just looked a very good very good team in that second test, and they didn't. It felt like they weren't relying too much on one player. They all contributed, and they all, yeah, all contributed to a very important victory.
Yeah, and it did feel like in both of New Zealand's innings there was that one player that stand out. Glenn Phillips in the
Yeah,
first innings with 100, and as you mentioned, Henry Nichols as well. And yeah, like you said, the supporting cast around them, it was enough to sort of get decent scores on the board. In what was a good batting oval pitch, which means I want to move on to England because I just think the approach, and I know it's not easy making the changes that they did with Atkinson and Stokes being dropped,
yeah,
but I just think the approach, bat and ball, they were just second best to New Zealand throughout the 4 days in particular.
yeah. It's weird right now, especially with what I've seen in the first two Test matches. I don't really know what England's batting is. Like I know obviously, like we've talked a lot about the Baz ball over the last like year and saying that saying after the Ashes series they should change from that. But when I say change, I don't mean like throw all toys out the pram. I mean like adapt a bit more. Understand conditions in certain situations. It feels like in these first two Test matches they've just decided we're just gonna do the complete opposite and just not score any runs whatsoever. Just defend the entire time, and that obviously can work sometimes, but consistently, especially against a very good bowling lineup, if you just keep defending and defending and don't have any intent to score, you're not gonna, you're gonna get out eventually, and you won't get out for many runs. And I think, with the exception of Harry Brook, who's probably their best batsman in the second test, because he just batted his normal game, batted freely, and obviously Root played very well as well. But it's weird to see I don't really know what England's game plan is with the bat right now. It feels like it's either go throw all toys out the pram and just completely go for everything, or the complete opposite and just don't look to score. So they need
No,
to find a middling point, definitely.
yeah, no, especially in that last point when you talk about them trying to play traditional Test cricket per se, it's like
Yeah,
they can't cope, they can't match a team
yeah,
like New Zealand. And it was weird because in that first England innings in particular, they all got starts. I mean, Emilio Gay got another half century, Matt Fisher down the order got half century, but like players just got starts, and no one really could kick on. Just
yeah.
when you thought they were settled and they sort of mastered that initial phase coming into the crease was probably most difficult to bat, and then just as when you think you could push on with it being a good batting pitch, it's like, yeah, as you mentioned, the approach just went out the window, and you get punished for that, especially with how good New Zealand bowled in particular.
Yeah, definitely. I also look at some of the selections as well. Like Jordan Jordan Cox is a very good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's a very good T20 player. He's a very good striker of the ball. He gets the game, he gets the game going very quickly. It was a weird selection having him come in, but not having him play his natural game. It's kind of just made him just be a defensive kind of player. Whereas if he's coming in at, I think it was like number 7, you might as well just have him just play his game and just try and get the innings going. Because in Test cricket now, it's the top order are the ones that kind of will do that maybe stabilizing role, and then the the 5, 6, 7, and 8. They're the ones that really get the innings like pushing forward and going for it, and they capitalize on the start that the top orders got them off to. But it felt like they kind of had Jordan Cox just play a bit just kind of defensively, which isn't really his game. So it was a weird selection for England, and yeah, it just looked a bit. It looked very disjointed, that performance in the second test, and New Zealand just looked by far and away the best team.
Yeah, do you sort of think the absences of like sort of obviously Gus Atkinson, Ben Stokes, even Jamie Smith as a wicketkeeper, it definitely hurt England because I know it's never easy changing the amount of personnel they did, but
Yeah.
are these sort of fringe players, are they even up to the standard of international Test cricket?
Well, we don't really know yet because they said
Yeah,
they barely played any they haven't played much of that kind of format, and a lot of these players are playing their first tests, so it's difficult obviously to judge them purely based on one test match, but just from that one test you'd probably say maybe not, because they're not players that will like intimidate you. Like if a young player comes in, you want them to make an impact, and they didn't do that. And they'll probably stay in and around the team, but I don't see them. But now, obviously, that Smith and Stokes and Atkinson are back, I don't see them like threatening for those positions. And yeah, as I said, bowling wise, they didn't look great either. Obviously, they dropped a lot of catches as well, so that never helps. But yeah, as I said, just all around, it just looked very disjointed performances, especially from the new guys coming in. Didn't really mark their place down.
yeah, it is almost like an audition to see how good these guys can be and maybe challenge the spots and replace the guys that were absent for the game. But yeah, as you said, not up to the mark. But I guess the one positive for England is Joe Root finally crosses the 14,000 run barrier, getting ever closer to Sachin Tendulkar right at the top. Yeah, I feel like even if all goes south for England, there's always Root to sort of, I guess, not save, but just be there, be the backbone for this England side for as long as he can.
Yeah, it'll be a dark day in my family when Root overtakes him. It'll be a dark day. But no, he's such a class player, and he has been for a long time. It's very interesting looking at his career. It felt like this purple patch of form that he's had in the last 4 or 5 years. If you'd have told me in 2018, 2019 that Joe Root would be scoring 14,000 runs, I would have been like, no. Because he always had that problem where he couldn't convert century 50s into hundreds. But in the last 4 or 5 years, his game's just gone to another level. He's just been incredible to watch. And yeah, I mean, long may it continue, I guess. As I said, I hope he does. I really don't want him to catch the record, but he definitely will. He obviously will.
Yeah, obviously there was the critics of him never scoring a century in Australia. He's finally done that now.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I mean he's 35, so maybe 4 years at a push he could play through. I think if he just solely focused on tests, because I feel like this upcoming ODI World Cup might be his last, and then he might just dedicate an extra 2 years to test. But you never know in cricket.
Yeah, well, he's, as I said, yeah, at the age of 35, but Sachin was playing when he was till he was
40,
like
I
40.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Root's probably got another two
Four,
or three.
four,
I'd say 2 or 3 years at this level where he's like consistently scoring
Okay,
runs, and
yeah.
maybe the last year he might drop off a little bit.
Yeah.
But in these next 2 or 3 years, he definitely should be looking to catch up to this record. It's only like
Definitely.
2,000. He's only like I think 2,000 off. So in the next 2 or 3 years, definitely should be looking to get this record.
Yeah, a lot of runs to be had. I think they tour South Africa, and then they've got home Ashes in 27 as well. So, yeah, definitely opportunities there for Joe Root. But yeah, a defeat for England then, as New Zealand do tie the series at the Oval to make it 1-1 ahead of the third test in Nottingham. But before we get on to that, there was a series over in India between India and Afghanistan. We did mention the Test series, but as we move on to the ODI series and dominance from start to finish, let's just say that. As we mentioned in the Test series, it was India just flexing their muscles once again.
Yeah, I don't even know if you could call it a series. It was just like, it was so one-sided, everything about it. And look, obviously praise. You can't really do anything else other than praise the team. But it was just, it's just one of those where you can't really take much from it, apart from maybe some of the new guys coming in, form of certain players. But yeah, it is what it is. 3-0 victory was kind of standard. And I thought we batted and bowled very well. But I'd expect us to do that against an Afghanistan team.
Yeah, I think Shubman Gill, just like as the opening, he's sort of like as captain as well now. He's like I feel like he's really come to his own. I think this is his best format as well, as which is a good sign for India. And I don't know, what did you think of like Ishan Kishan number 3? Because I thought he settled into that role really well. Because surprisingly, because I thought Ishan Kishan would bat a bit lower down.
Yeah.
Because I know in like Asia Cup he batted at like number 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But him being at number 3, he's really like stepping up and more suited to being an opener in T20s and now ODIs.
Well, I just think it's the last year of his career. It's been very important for him. We spoke about in the T20 World Cup how he's kind of turned around his form. Whereas for a long time he was kind of like a nearly player. Again, there was a lot of talk about discipline, fitness and all that. But I just think in the last year he's really turned around his form in all formats. And he's become a player now that India, if need to, can call upon him and he'll do a job. Will he stay in the team? I'm not entirely sure because it's such a large depth of players. And I mean, Rohit, Gill, Kohli, Shreyas, KL, they are still the ideal top 5. But, if Ishan keeps these runs going, then he will make a case, especially with the World Cup coming in a year's time. He will make a case of being in that squad, definitely. And it's good to see. It's because it's good to see Indian players stepping up at important times in their careers, especially with, tournaments coming thick and fast.
Yeah, no, I think Yashasvi Jaiswal got a century in that last game as well, where Shubman Gill dropped himself a bit down. So, yeah, like I said, batting seems to be very stacked as well. And, yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for the England series now, which will be T20s and ODIs, because we obviously will see Kohli back, we'll see a lot of the main guys back. And, yeah, it was almost, in a way, it was essentially a good warm-up ahead of the India's UK tour, which will be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, as I said, I think it's just one of those where. But you also, to be fair, you also have to kind of feel bad for Jaiswal because he's not even been picked for the England.
No, yeah, I know.
And he's just scored 100, but that just shows you the depth.
Yeah, I guess it is just a case of too many spots, like,
yeah, exactly.
To fill, and yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, for India, impressive win, and obviously, I think I do think they're the best ODI team right now. I think they're just, since the Champions Trophy in particular, I know they haven't played much, but I feel like in a way that series was a reminder of how good they are. But moving on, yeah,
I'll just quickly say that none of that will matter unless we have that World Cup next season.
Yeah, exactly.
None of that will matter.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, essentially, I guess it is just about preparation for that World Cup because it'll come sooner than we think.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and as we speak right now, we do have the third test going on between England and New Zealand. We'll get back onto that. And yeah, let's just say the main guys have come back. I mean, Atkinson, Stokes, they've served their ban. Bit of discrepancy between Rob Key and Brendan McCullum in terms of like curfews and stuff, but the dust has been settled in that sense. But
yeah,
I mean, New Zealand are just picking up where they left up from. 317 run opening partnership from Tom Latham, Devon Conway. Yeah, I mean, is it over already?
No, because New Zealand were immaculate. They couldn't have had a better first day up until the last 25 minutes.
Yeah,
where it was
we have some hope.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Some of the shots that were being played, like I know obviously when you score 150, you're kind of excused to play a bad shot, but I just think the way Tom Latham got out, and then Conway kind of throwing his wicket away straight after. Ratched's dismissal is one of the. It's such a horrendous dismissal with 4 minutes to go left in the day, and to do that was just ridiculous. And then Nichols got out right at the end as well. So New Zealand had a flawless day up until the last 25 minutes, but they're still by far and away in the driving seat to win this game.
Yeah, and they've got Darryl Mitchell at the crease right now, and yeah, it just feels like if he can get in a role, then New Zealand are primed to do well. But little bit surprising in terms of selection for New Zealand because they did drop the Centurion Glenn Phillips, I think for Mitch Santner, sort of like a going for an out and out spinner and Mitch Santner who can also bat.
Yeah.
And then obviously the pace changing lineups, which I think is just rotation to be honest. Bringing in Blair Tickner, Ben Sears, Carl Jameson dropping out, who I think Carl Jameson may have been the weakest out of the New Zealand attack per se, and obviously Matt Henry going out, which will always be a big miss. So these, especially in the second innings, the New Zealand bowlers will have to step up, especially with the changed lineup.
Yeah, definitely, because it's going to obviously depend, I think, entirely on how New Zealand bat for the rest of this innings. I think if they need to be pushing for a 500, 550, 600 run score, and it will make the job easier for the bowlers because they'll pretty much be not nailed on to win the game because it will depend on how England bat, but they'll have a very good chance of winning the game, and it will just give them extra confidence. So I think it will depend a lot on how New Zealand finish off this first innings.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say New Zealand get to a 500, 550. How should England approach? I know we talked about it earlier about sometimes they do go full throttle, sometimes they do sort of play conservatively, but then just get out. It's difficult, obviously, that big of a score, but what should the approach be?
Just tell
what suits England?
Yeah, just tell every single batsman just play their natural game. Like it's not just a thing of right, we have to do all this one way, or we have to go one way, or we do it the complete opposite. Just tell every batsman who bats, if Harry Brook bats naturally aggressively, just have him bat naturally aggressively. Same with James Smith, same with, and if there's other players like Emilio Gay that might be a bit more conservative in the way they play, so let him bat that way. If they get a 550, 600 run score, England will most likely lose this game. So, try and find a way to not lose the game. Get a draw or something. Like, try and fight for a draw or something. Or get a big enough bat for a long time. Ensure that a New Zealand win is off the cards. That's what England have to do now.
Yeah, and historically Nottingham has been one of the better batting pitches. And yeah, it's almost been a shame that because I feel like spin will be key just with the heat, the dryness of the pitch, and England spinners. I mean, it's not a good look when Root looks more threatening than Bashir. Which, if they're going to have any chance of like restricting New Zealand as quickly as they can, they just need their spinners to, just back up their pace bowlers and just try and get this New Zealand team out early.
Yeah, it's as much as we've tried to defend Bashir on this pod with what happened in the Ashes and everything. He's not helping us out. He's not helping us out at all.
No,
it's just but just the England bowling in general, it was so bad on day one because there's too many half volley deliveries, too many short and wide deliveries. There wasn't any bowlers that were like threatening consistently, and I mean, but it's the main job of a spinner, especially on day one and stuff, to bowl for a long spell and allow the other fast bowlers to rotate. I mean, Bashir's figures in that first innings, 22 overs for 97, it's just not good enough, and he just didn't look threatening, as I said, at all. So he's just going to have to step up now. Talk about he doesn't play consistently in Test cricket, but I think that first day was a reason why. I don't think he can be trusted yet as a spinner. So England needs, they'll need to rely on him at some point in this game, and he's going to have to step up massively.
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like England have already lost because the score is just what it is. I mean, New Zealand just racked up a lot on day one and now on day two, but it just feels like if they lose this, it's like there's like no point of winning a World Test Championship if they're never going to qualify for one because they're currently 7th. They had 12 points docked off after the second test. I mean, what direction does Brendan McCullum want to take this team? I know initially 22, 23, there was the whole Bazball, and then we got a few decent results. But it's like, the funny thing is, we've lost more tests than we've won since he's took charge. So it's almost like we plateaued in a way. I mean, I don't want to be the one to say, but I'm just seeing a lack of direction with like where Brendan McCullum wants to take this test team. And the cracks are starting to appear. It definitely is, especially at home now as well.
I think it's I think the Ashes series was like the big the big one. Like everyone's starting to ask, like, what's next for this team? What do we do next with this team and stuff? I just think, especially with young players like Bethel and stuff, you got to give them time. Obviously, Emilio Gay, you got to give them time, but it just feels like they're just unsure on what to do and how to bat. It feels like in the Ashes series, they told everybody play one way, play aggressively, and then Jacob Bethel scores 100 in Australia, batting sensibly, and then it's like, okay, we use that innings to tell every other player to just bat defensively and not try and go for it, apart from maybe Harry Brook, and that's it. But it can't be that difficult to just say to them, just play your natural game and stuff. And if you get out and you get low scores, then bring someone else in. They don't really chop and change this team. They just stick with the same players a lot of the time. Whereas I feel like if a player isn't playing well, there shouldn't be any nailed on spots if players aren't playing well. But it feels like there is. Like after the Ashes series, that Crawley had a better Ashes series than Duckett did, and yet Crawley's not playing in this one, and Duckett is. And Duckett's not had a great start to this series either. So I feel like England are just a bit unsure in terms of selection. They're a bit unsure in terms of how they want the team to play. They're not really kind of getting players that... They're getting a lot of inexperienced players in this team, which is never a good thing, because too much inexperience in one format, especially in Test cricket as well, it's not easy to adapt straight away and adjust. So I just think McCullum is just a bit unsure in terms of how he wants this team to play.
Yeah, and you talk about dropping Zach Crawley. I mean, just look at our batters, which are so light. I mean, Gay's obviously new into the fold. Duckett and Bethel have just been out of form forever now in tests. Yeah. And our backup batter for this match, anyway, Jordan Cooks, because Zach Crawley's probably playing county cricket somewhere. So it's like, I think just all around it's just poor. And I mean, we do have an upcoming test against Pakistan as well, so I wouldn't even be surprised if we lose that as well later on in the summer. But
you should be beating Pakistan. You should be.
If you lose
that game against them, then it starts to be question marks. New Zealand is one of those. New Zealand is one of those teams where you're like, okay, it's New Zealand. They're still a very good team.
No,
Pakistan's been out of sorts for a long time. So if you don't beat them, then it's a problem.
But that's the thing. Even against New Zealand, if you tell me 2-3 years ago, like the start of Bazball, I'll be like, okay, we're dominating New Zealand 3-0, 2-1 maybe.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it just feels like we've lost that confidence and swagger all around. And as you mentioned, the form of the Ashes and carrying over to this, it never helps. It's like, especially when you're on a bad run in Test cricket in general, it almost feels like you're playing catch up at all times.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, there's still a long way to go in this England game. Do you think England can pull things back? I mean, they're going to have to be perfect for the remainder of how many days they play.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to have every single batsman step up, or pray that a Root or someone scores a double 100. But no, I think New Zealand should win this game. If New Zealand don't win this game, then they should be looking at their coaching setup. What's gone wrong there? But no, I think New Zealand should win this game.
That's the beauty of Test cricket. I mean, Ben Stokes. I feel like Ben Stokes is like, we actually rely on him. We don't realise the importance of him as much as we do, like just bat and ball and just everything. Because I know he has his criticisms as well, obviously off the pitch and whatnot. But we saw in that second test like how inept we looked, like how outclassed we were. But I just feel like if we're gonna come back, it's gonna be through him with both bat and ball.
Well, he's the one that got the first wicket, so it shows you how important he is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he is almost just that player, just a knack of taking wickets. But, I mean, as the second day continues on, that'll be it from me and Dejan for another episode of the Six and Out podcast brought to you by Sports News Blitz. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and Spotify, and to check us out on our Sports News Blitz website. Excuse me. I've been Bilal, joined by Dejan, and we'll see you next time.